Gilberto Gil was one of the originators of the Tropicalia movement. The movement expanded quickly around the world, and in order to adapt his songs to accommodate the global public, not only the North American but also the African and European, Gilberto Gil used strategic inauthenticity by adopting non-Brazilian elements in his songs. The Tropicalia movement was one of the most important movements in Brazilian history. The movement took place during the 1960s and initially brought together Brazilians to stand out against the nationalists and unite the population against the military dictatorship. During Tropicalia, one of the singers that had the most impact on the movement was Gilberto Gil. Despite being born in Brazil, Gilberto Gil used a lot of African influence on his work, due to the fact that he was born in the African Mecca of the Americas, Bahia. While Gil lived in Salvador, he was introduced to different genres of music, not only African music, but also jazz and tango. Gilberto Gil's first band, Os Desafinados, was mainly influenced by North American rock and roll musicians, and the American influence carried on even after he left the band, when he started to play bossa nova, the genre of music that would shape tropicalismo. During Tropicalia, the first foreign influence present on Gil's work was seen in Bat Macumba, in the music group Os Mutantes. Os Mutantes, led by Gilberto Gil, was one of the most essential groups in the development of Tropicalia. The factor that made the group stand out the most was the rejection of the traditional Brazilian music and the appreciation of international influence. Moving forward, Gilberto Gil worked with Caetano Veloso and practiced strategic inauthenticity by combining influences from different cultures into their songs in order to receive global attention. The fact that Brazilian culture is highly influenced by many other foreign cultures helped Gilberto Gil to achieve his goal in an easier way. During that time, Gilberto Gil viewed the Beatles as the international pop music band, and he quickly adopted elements from Beatles songs in his works. During that time, freedom was needed in Brazil. With the military government, left-wing ideologies and non-traditional ideas were halted by the government, which led the society to express themselves with creativity through music. Gilberto Gil not only used elements from North American music in his songs, but he also wrote Brazilian translated versions of American songs. Gil used songs especially from the Beatles and Bob Marley, such as Get Back from the Beatles and No Woman, No Cry from Bob Marley, and created Brazilian translated versions of those songs, which he called De Leve and Não Chore Mais. This action expanded his music to the North American audience in a huge way. In fact, it was brilliant. Gil not only introducing American songs to the Brazilian public, but he was also in a way presenting Brazilian songs to the North Americans. Performers such as Gilberto Gil and Caetano Veloso started to compose songs about government violence and increased critiques on the Brazilian government. Unsurprisingly, the government started to penalize everyone who stood against them, leading many performers to be arrested. The two singers, Gilberto Gil and Caetano Veloso, were imprisoned for 2 months, put into solitary confinement, and unable to contact their friends and family. After their imprisonment, Gilberto Gil was forbidden to perform in public and was exiled from Brazil. During the next 4 years, Gilberto Gil lived in London, where he performed many English songs and also gained popularity, using strategic inauthenticity by performing Brazilian songs with international influence to the Europeans. In January of 1972, Gilberto Gil returned to Brazil. Since the military government was abolished, he was free to compose music and express himself. This allowed him to freely introduce foreign influences in Brazilian music. Moreover, one of the first songs Gilberto Gil created after his arrival was Back in Bahia, a song with an English title and Portuguese lyrics. Gilberto Gil was exposed to many different cultures, not only by being raised in a state with African influence in Brazil, but also by living in Europe and performing in many different parts of the world, being able to produce music not only to Brazilians but also to the global public through the practice of strategic inauthenticity.